to pollinate the field. And I'm saying in Jamaica we can grow the rice all year round. We need to be aware that when you plant in the summer months, the rice water temperature will be so hot that it will cause the oxygen to come out of the water, and the plant won't get enough oxygen. So you usually quit in the heart of the summer, and you come back, say you plant to about June 28, and you come back in September and start to plant again. And at the same time, you would have reaped a crop, say around August to September, and you cut it off and then you do another, the ratooning, you get the ratoon crop. Right? You're talking about the yield. We usually plant 100 pound weight of rice per acre, and we get about 6,000 pound weight, meaning that if you plant 100 pound bag of rice, you will get 100 pound bags of rice, finished rice. Any questions?
So the rice that I used to plant, the rice crop, so where does it come?
The seeds? Well, these seeds, some of them came in from Guyana, some came from the Dominican Republic, some from Suriname. They are all long grain and extra long grain rice. And I can assure you that these rice are what you'll see on your shelves. These are Jamaicans accustomed to be eating this rice.
But you have a whole heap of doubtful Thomas in Jamaica. How are you so sure that they'll accept?
Well, actually when we grow the rice, we are going to thresh it. And our home people are going to do the test, and we're going to do our testing ourselves to see, you know, how acceptable it is to the customer and so forth.
Yes. The land, what type of land?
Yes, rice would grow just about on any land that you have grass growing. Especially those lands that you have a clay at the bottom to about 12 inches. You have a hard pan of clay that serves to hold in the moisture. Our Senton clay loam, that is a soil 78, the red turnover soil, not ideal for rice in that the water moves through the soil profile so fast. You know what I mean? That it's not advisable to grow rice on that. You have two rice that are really semi-aquatic, like this one grows in the water. You have some that can grow on a natural rainfall. You have some that you can grow using mulch. You can mulch the area, and with your sprinkler you carry a crop, you know, and so forth. So rice, you have some drought resistant variety. Even through cassava field you have rice growing. You could know if it is a drought resistant variety in that if I have those plants in the experimental plot and I take away the water for 3 weeks, and when I look I see some of them die and some of them just send down more roots and it's green and holding on, you could tell right away that that is a drought resistant crop.
If you plan to plant it on a large scale, do you think we have the facilities to maintain that?
We do. We have the land right now. Like the minister said, that we need about 40,000 acres of land to put in rice production for us to be self-sufficient in rice. Initially we are trying to get 10,000 acres, you know, to make a big dent in it. And we think that small farmer, especially with the transplant, can grow their own rice. In so doing, it will cut down on the import bill in Jamaica. It's just a matter of the technology, getting the information out to people how to do it, and of course, you know, they're having problem accessing planting material. What we are doing over here, in addition to the experimental trial, we are doing some seed multiplication. We get those seeds from the Dominican Republic, and we are trying to make sure that we do not have to import any more seeds. We would have multiplied enough seed on these, you know, plots here.
You had mentioned that almost anybody can grow rice, but when the small farmers grow rice, who determines whether or not it is safe for us to have
The question was, if the small farmers grow the rice, could they sell the rice? And I'm saying yes, because remember our history that during the time of slavery and beyond, especially the Indians, they used to grow their own rice, cut it tight up, have it in the top of their roof, and on a Sunday morning time, them take it up, warm it up, and put it in mortar, and they beat it and thresh it and sell it. Right now, you have a lot of farmers in Jamaica growing some and doing like that. Some of them have some mill. They might be a little bit old-fashioned, but they are still working and so forth, you know. And I don't, in terms of the farmers, they have the Rice Growers Association in Jamaica now, and places like Grains do the threshing, the flour mill gonna buy it. You have some big players that are getting involved. Matter of fact, we could not even have accomplished what we have here had it not been for the effort and the help. And we want to publicly thank Mr. Levy and the Jamaica Broilers. You know what I mean? Because they came aboard. Yes, they came on board and assisted us many kind of way, financially and by their own personnel coming out here daily to assist us. And so you have big players who are coming in it, and they are going to put up things like your dryer, your thresher, your packaging, all of that gotta be setting up. But as you can see, we are just embarking on growing of rice.
But to the different industries, like they're going to collapse, you think this will?
This is definitely be a must. It is inevitable. Because as the population of the world increase right now, even in the Philippines, you hear that people trying to export crop and they export and they go to jail. So everybody gonna have to turn to growing their own food, And you must remember that rice is the food that is grown the largest in the world, easiest to store. Anytime you have a natural disaster, rice is what the run come with. It can be easily stored without damage. If it was a hurricane, you would have all of your yam and your banana and everything damaged. But the rice would be in some box or some pans, safe to be used.
As I mentioned, hurricane, the fields, how are they? Can they stand the hurricane?
They can, because the variety that we have right there are not really the tall variety. They are semi-dwarf. You have the dwarf, you have the semi-dwarf, and you have the tall variety. The tall variety, when they are grown in the flood, and especially when they bear of lot, and the stem is not that strong, they have a tendency to lodge. Lodging means to lie down in the water, and if it lies down in the water, the seeds are going to be rotten. So these are semi-dwarf variety.
So here, you talk a lot about the rice. And in a speech, it sounds like you have been planting rice for over 20 or more years now. How do you get your experience and your knowledge on the rice growing?
Well, actually, I worked first at a rice mill in Houston, Texas, Comet Rice in Houston, Texas. I worked with Moore Rice Factory in Houston as a miller. And then I worked at a rice research station in Alvin, Texas, doing the hybridization of rice. That is my real major. But for you to reach that level, you must be able to can grow the rice. And I was fortunate enough to at that time have 5 Chinese experts from China who was visiting that rice station, and I gained all my knowledge, most of my information from them. And right here working even with CC, I must mention also Mr. Campbell. He works with the Jamaica Boilers and he's here with us every day, and we interchange our knowledge. We have another gentleman who is a consultant from Guyana, Mr. Asim, and then you have Mr. Gilpin, who is a farm manager who have worked with rice for over 15 years. And you know, all of us pool our resources together. But you know, I have a passion for rice growing, because I know that rice is the easiest and the least expensive crop to grow on earth. Because when you grow the rice, especially in the water, nobody have to come and chop it or mold it and put in all of those expense and those operations. It is growing in the water. You just set up the field and it is going. It is the cheapest and easiest when you understand it. It is the easiest crop to grow on earth. And that's why so many people, one of the reasons why so many people grow rice.
So in the household, like when you're going to cook the rice and you pick out little brown ones, can you plant that?
Well, of course, it depends on the type of rice. Because some rice, as I said, are hybrid rice. If it is a hybrid rice, you will always have to get hybrid seed to plant again. So that rice in the market there, where you might see some that was not husk, and you say you're going to plant them, you might plant them and they might grow, but they might revert, they might not bear as it's ought to, because those are hybrid seed, and we generally do not plant hybrid seed. This type of rice here, we call it a restorer. It's like corn grain, whereby you reap the corn, you husk it, you plant the seed again. It is not a hybrid seed. The question was what type of fertilizer to be used. And like I said, like all crop, you always have to do what is called your soil test to determine how much of the elements are there. But generally speaking, especially this crop, it's the first time we are going to plant here. We know the pH, and the pH should be about 7 neutral. That's what rice requires. And then we think that we can go by with just sulfate of ammonia, nitrogen fertilizer. We are going to forego the P and the K. Notwithstanding, the P is responsible for root development, for cell elongation, for fruiting and all that type of thing. The K is also responsible for fruiting. But we think that sufficient of those elements were in the soil so that we can forego that and just come with nitrogen, because as you know, the nitrogen is what you need for speedy growth. When you see the yellow ring on the crop, you know that it's a nitrogen deficiency. You know, you want it's not gonna bear if you don't have your nitrogen in the soil. Okay. In the soil.
Keep it green on.
So we do on this crop here, 110-day variety, we do 2 applications of nitrogen. One at 18 to 21 days, and the other application at